Hi, Upper East Siders and my lovely glow-getters. Welcome to our series where we will recount Puff Diddy's trial day by day. It's GlowGem here, and I'll be compiling and sharing everything that happens in the courtroom each day for us. The day we've been waiting for has finally arrived, and Diddy's trial has begun. We are on the first day of the Diddy case. As I mentioned, I'll gather everything that happens in the courtroom from different sources and relay it to you. Unfortunately, we can't watch the trial live ourselves. This is because it's a federal trial, and under federal law, no cameras or audio recordings are allowed inside. This law exists to protect the jury, they say. In federal cases, as you know, the outcomes can be very serious, sometimes even leading to the death penalty. So, to protect the jury involved in such trials, a law prohibits any recordings. This also applies to Luigi Mangione. We can't watch any video footage from his trial either, but as I said, I'll prepare these segments by verifying all the information I gather, minute by minute, from journalists and other participants in the courtroom. Let me add this. For months, we've followed PAFDD's case process together. However, most of the documents we reviewed were redacted or censored. During this trial, those censored parts will be revealed, and we'll have the chance to learn many more details. Names, dates, events, every detail will come to light. We're looking at a process expected to last 8 full weeks. So let's get started. First, I want to briefly talk about Diddy. He came to court on the first day wearing a gray sweater over a white shirt. He appeared to be in high spirits and greeted his family. He even sent them his famous heart sign. The courtroom sketch artists captured this moment. As you can see here, Diddy is sending the heart gesture to his family, wearing his gray sweater and white shirt. He also had a Bible with him and kept reading it until the trial began. Then he put it back in his bag. Today began with the opening statements. Let's start there. I must admit, opening statements in such long and complex trials usually take a long time. However, in this case, both the prosecution and the defense kept their statements relatively short. In fact, both sides finished without interruptions. So, later in the day, the prosecution's first witness took the stand, then the second witness, who also made very important revelations. We'll go over their testimonies together. I also want to emphasize this. There are reasons these two witnesses were called on the first day. As the trial progresses, everything will fall into place. Prosecutor Emily Johnson opened with the prosecution's statement. She called Diddy a monster and told the jury they would hear all the horrible crimes he committed and that they would expose everyone who helped him. The defense's opening was given by Tenny Garrigos. We've discussed Tenny Garrigos extensively in previous files. Her father is also a very famous lawyer, a celebrity attorney. Tenny is part of the team defending Puff Diddy. In her opening, she responded to Johnson's claims. She said this case is really about love, jealousy, and money. Yes, there are some domestic violence incidents involved, but she claimed it had nothing to do with sexual crimes or sex trafficking. Let's start from the beginning of the trial day. I'll share the opening statements in more detail. The trial is taking place in New York, and it was reportedly so crowded that even journalists had a tough time getting in. Very long lines formed. People started lining up as early as the day before. Some even started selling their places in line, accepting offers of $500 to $600. People were there not just to see Diddy, but also his family. Diddy's lawyers have become superstars themselves. Mark Garagos, Terry Garagos, Karen Agnifilo, wife of Mark Agnifilo, who is also Luigi Mangione's lawyer. They were present in court for the trial. Diddy's entire family came, except his youngest daughter, Love, due to her young age. His mother and PR representative were also present. People came just to see them. Lidl Rhodes also attended the first day. She was one of the first to sue Diddy, accusing him of sexual assault. She was present with her lawyer. Now let's talk about the jury, as their selection took a few days but was finalized on the morning of the first day. 12 jurors were selected, ranging in age from 30 to 74. Their professions varied, from massage therapist to investment analyst. There's a scientist among them and a freelance graphic designer. They were asked about their media preferences and whether they knew Puff Diddy. Even their music tastes were considered. In the end, the jury consisted of 8 men and 4 women, plus 6 alternates. Reportedly, Diddy gave head gestures, yes or no, to his attorneys during the selection process. Now let's move to the opening statements. Before diving into them, let's talk briefly about why opening statements matter. This is your first chance to explain to the jury what the evidence will show. You essentially map out the entire case here. If you can't tell your story properly now, it becomes very hard to build on it later. Think of it like this. The jury will all watch the same video, but will they interpret it through the prosecution's narrative or the defense's? That's what makes the opening statement crucial. Now let's go over Emily Johnson's opening for the prosecution. She began by pointing directly at Puff Diddy, Sean Combs, and described him as a cultural icon, a businessman, almost a legend. But then she said there's another side to him, a man who runs a criminal organization. For 20 years, she said, this organization has been involved in kidnapping, arson, drug trafficking, sex crimes, and obstruction of justice. Her first example was about Cassie. She didn't say victim number one. She said her name outright, which was bold and powerful. She talked about the day Diddy found out Cassie was seeing another man. Along with his bodyguard, they went to confront them. Diddy allegedly pointed a gun at the man and threatened to kill him. Johnson described Diddy's brutal abuse of Cassie, how he kept explicit videos of her and used them to threaten her. She said Diddy called himself a king and had a massive crown tattooed on his neck, proof that he thought of himself as untouchable. She emphasized that Diddy didn't work alone. His employees and bodyguards were allegedly involved in the crimes too. Johnson stressed, this case is not about a celebrity's sex life. She anticipated that the defense would frame things that way, so she shut that down early, a smart move. She talked about freak-offs, parties for which sex workers were flown in across state lines and even from abroad to participate, which is what makes this a federal case. She said Diddy instructed his staff to book hotel rooms, provide illegal drugs, and force women to wear certain outfits, heels, and white nail polish. Johnson explained that Cassie was 17 years younger than Diddy and had signed a 10-album deal under pressure. She wasn't the only alleged victim. There's Jane Doe, who said Diddy forced her into freak-offs starting around 2020. Mia, Diddy's former personal assistant, was also allegedly abused. Throughout Johnson's statement, Diddy sat motionless, his hands in his lap, especially when Cassie's abuse was mentioned. Now the defense, Tenny Garagos delivered the opening. Given her age and gender, it's likely the defense chose her to sway the jury emotionally. This tactic is common, having a woman defend a man accused of sex crimes. Garagos admitted Diddy had a violent past with women. She had to. There's a video of him assaulting Cassie in a hotel, which the jury will see. They admitted he used drugs and alcohol and said his violent behavior only happened under their influence. They painted Diddy as a bad boyfriend, not a criminal. Garagos had Diddy stand while introducing him. She argued the government had no business in Diddy's bedroom. Yes, he may be a bad person, but is that a crime? She asked. This was just a toxic relationship, not a federal offense. She emphasized all the alleged victims were adults who made their own choices. She said Cassie never went to the police and instead hired a lawyer to sue Diddy, asking for $30 million, suggesting financial motives. She claimed some of the freak-off videos were recorded not by Diddy, but by Cassie. Same with Jane Doe, another toxic relationship, she said. Basically, the defense is arguing, yes, Diddy behaved badly, but these are not federal crimes. They stressed that everyone involved was a consenting adult. The only video showing real abuse is the hotel footage, and everything else is up for interpretation. Now let's go to the prosecution's first witness, Ismael Flores, now an LAPD officer, but formerly a security manager at the Intercontinental Hotel, where the Cassie assault video was recorded. He testified about the day, March 5th, 2016, when he responded to a call on the 6th floor. He saw Diddy walking back and forth on camera, but didn't see the woman at first. When he arrived, he saw Cassie sitting in a corner with her face hidden and Diddy standing in just a towel and colorful socks. He also saw a shattered vase and a wrecked hallway. Flores said another man was in the room, believed to be a male escort, sitting fully clothed on the bed. Diddy allegedly offered Flores a thick wad of $100 bills to forget about it. Flores declined and didn't report to the police because Cassie just wanted to leave and didn't want the incident publicized. Under cross-examination by defense lawyer Brian Steele, Flores admitted he hadn't included certain details, like Diddy's demonic stare or Cassie's black eye, in his incident report. He explained these reports don't include every detail. The prosecution used Flores to introduce the video to the jury and to set the stage for Cassie's testimony later. Then came the second witness, Daniel Phillip, a male dancer. Prosecutor Maureen Comey questioned him. In 2021, he was hired to be with Cassie, believing it was a bachelor party. But when he arrived, Cassie opened the door in lingerie with a red wig and sunglasses. Another man entered the room wearing a bandana over his face, and everyone called him Baby. Philip recognized Diddy's voice. He described what followed in graphic detail. During this testimony, Diddy's daughters left the courtroom and didn't return. His sons, however, stayed. Philip said he was called back again and that this kind of interaction happened multiple times between 2012 and 2013. He eventually grew close to Cassie and tried to persuade her to leave Diddy after witnessing his violence toward her. Philip will be cross-examined by the defense on the second day. Throughout his testimony, Diddy was fully focused, likely because of the serious implications. That concludes day 1 of the trial. I'm already preparing the next update, verifying everything from multiple sources. It's going to be a long trial, and unless something unexpected happens, I'll keep sharing each day's developments with you. What do you think of the opening statements and the first day's witnesses? Looking forward to your thoughts. See you on day 2. Take care and stay glow.